All right, I'd like to call this regular meeting of Cleveland Heights City Council to order. It is 7:35 p.m. Addie, would you call the roll, please?
Cobb.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
Posh.
Here.
DeWitt Foy.
Here.
Stone.
Here.
Kuda.
Here.
Cohen.
Here.
All right, everybody's here, so any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none. Approval of the minutes. Everybody look those over. Anybody have any problems with them? All right, very good. We'll go on to proclamations and honors.
This evening, we are going to recognize Mr. Jonathan Partington with a proclamation. Jonathan, could you join me? If you have friends or family with you, you're welcome to have them join too.
Got to get the gang up there.
Whereas in the early morning hours of September 3rd, 2024, a residential fire broke out in a multi-unit dwelling within the city of Cleveland Heights. And whereas Mr. Jonathan Partington, awake at the time, was alerted to danger and quickly recognized the presence of a growing fire at the front of his residence. And whereas, demonstrating remarkable presence of mind and selflessness, Mr. Partington immediately acted by attempting to contain the fire, alerting fellow residents and calling emergency services. And whereas Mr. Partington courageously moved throughout the building under rapidly worsening and dangerous conditions, warning occupants on the upper floors and ensuring they were awakened and able to escape. And whereas his swift and decisive actions contributed directly to the safe evacuation of multiple residents and their pets, preventing potential loss of life. And whereas Mr. Partington continued his efforts even as the fire intensified, placing the safety of others above his own until first responders arrived. And whereas the city also recognizes the bravery and professionalism of the responding police officers and fire personnel. And whereas the city also recognizes compassion shown by neighbors and service by neighborly businesses, including the owner of Kensington Pub, Brad Poe, who provided immediate support in the aftermath. And whereas Mr. Partington was humbly stated that he does not view himself as a hero, yet his actions embody the very definition of courage, responsibility, and community spirit. Now, therefore, I, Jim Petrus, Mayor of the City of Cleveland Heights, do hereby proclaim Mr. Jonathan Partington as a citizen of exceptional bravery and do commend him for his heroic actions on September 3rd, 2024. His courage and quick thinking serve as an inspiration to all and reflect the highest ideals of our community. Thank you so much.
Partner Mela, and she was in the fire as well.
Oh, wow.
So we're just grateful, and this is it's a very humbling honor, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations. Now that you're back at your seat, communications from the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to begin by respectfully requesting permission to bid project 2604, Altamont Avenue Waterline Replacement Project, and project 2605, Brinkmore Road and Mount Laurel Road Water Main Replacement Project.
So moved for both of those. Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you so much. I'd like to firstly thank council and all the residents who attended last week's State of the City address. I thought that it was a really nice opportunity to have a community event to support local businesses and organizations. Also this evening, there is legislation before council regarding EV chargers and composting. I'm very excited that we are about to accept over $500,000 in grant funding to support the installation of 4 EV chargers here at City Hall and 4 more at the community center. And our composting pilot is about to end this month. It's been very successful, and so we're very excited to expand that program. So currently we have 2 sites, one right over over at Dave's and one at the Noble Library. And beginning on May 19th, we're going to also take over the sites at Church of the Savior and Coventry. So we're going to have 4 sites across the city where people will be able to use that service for no additional cost. And finally, with regard to the Cumberland Task Force, their first meeting is next week. We are also working on RFPs for a designer and an owner's rep for the renovation or rebuild of Cumberland Pool, and those are going to go out soon. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor. On to City Administrator's report. Mr. Michael Reese.
Okay, good evening. President Kuda, Vice President Larson, members of council. I have 5 items to talk to you about tonight. I have a background in emergency management when I first began my career, and that's kind of trained me to apply that to my different roles in the public sector. So what we did a couple weeks back is we had a meeting led by our police and fire departments, Chiefs Harry and Britton, to discuss our emergency operations plan. We met internally and we discussed our plan, the incident command system, and the different phases of emergency management. Because we want to make sure we're prepared if a disaster were to happen, like a tornado or something, that we're fully prepared. How are we going to respond? How are decisions made? How do we communicate internally? How do we communicate to residents? Who are the government and private partners we work with, and what documentation is needed to request state assistance and seek reimbursement. So based on that meeting and many discussions, I'm very confident with the leadership of our fire and police departments, and based on our partnerships with other government agencies, that we are prepared. So that's item number 1. Number 2, a quick update on the Coventry elevator. We are hoping for an inspection late this week or early next week, and then we will have a fully functioning elevator. I will keep city council members posted on this, as well as representatives of the Coventry Special Improvement District. Number 3, I shared with the Citizens Advisory Committee on the evening of April 22nd the priorities of the administration and how they relate to the community development block grant funding categories. I think that was an important discussion, and we had a good dialogue, and it's a wonderful group that makes very tough recommendations as they deliberate each year on funding levels for recommendation to council. Number 4, Human Resource Director interviews. We worked hard to spread the word about our Human Resources Director opportunity by posting with various public and executive organizations and talking with HR professionals throughout the state. We received over 70 applications in 4 weeks and have a diverse pool of qualified candidates. Our first round of interviews is taking place this week virtually. We are interviewing 11 candidates this week. Our second round of interviews will be in person next week, and that will be narrowed to a smaller group. We may ask City Council to hold a confirmation hearing on Monday, May 18th. But it will depend on how things go over the next 10 days, and I will keep you posted on our progress. The last item I want to bring up is the Hillside Dairy demolition. I stood before you 2 weeks ago and gave you an update on that project, and next steps. The bids will be open on Thursday, May 7th, this Thursday, and we anticipate, if everything goes right, that on Monday, May 18th, 2 weeks from tonight, the mayor would read into the record requesting permission to enter into a contract. And then in addition to that, as I mentioned 2 weeks ago, we'll likely have a budget amendment for the difference in what was budgeted based on our grants vendor estimate from 2024 and what the true cost of the project is. Again, we're not going to know this until we open the bids on Thursday, May 7th, and then we'll be able to take the next step. That's my report for this evening. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Reese, I have a quick question. On the hearing for the HR director, Would we be asked to vote that day, or is it just to hear them?
We can handle it however you'd like, sir.
Well, I would just say that if you're gonna, if there's gonna be legislation, that maybe we get an opportunity perhaps to meet that person before, if that hearing is gonna be like right before our meeting. I can't imagine what other time it could be, but that would be helpful.
Okay.
Any questions for Mr. Reese? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that report. Next, we're going to move on to department reports, and I want to thank the mayor and staff for agreeing to have these administrators at this meeting. First up is Todd Walburn. Is Todd here? Oh, good. So Todd Walburn is the Mayor's Action Center coordinator, and he's going to give us a report, a kind of a progress report on your busy office.
My name is Todd Walburn. I'm the Mayor's Action Center coordinator for the city of Cleveland Heights. Thank you, President Kuda, Vice President Larson, and Council for inviting me to speak tonight. Around this time 2 years ago, the city of Cleveland Heights was getting ready to launch the Access Cleveland Heights app and create the office of the MAC, the Mayor's Action Center. Since that time, nearly 10,000 requests have opened in the Access Cleveland Heights platform. These requests, reported by our 2,300 participating constituents, include a variety of questions, complaints, suggestions, compliments, and translate into a whole lot of data.
Oh, boy.
That data is useful for following the process of complaint resolution from beginning to end. It allows residents, visitors, and business owners to track the progress of their request, ask questions, add details, and express gratitude to city staff. But the app is not all about data. It is an active record of the work that city staff does every day, every month, and every season. It records both our successes and our missteps, and it is an indispensable, flexible tool for streamlining process improvement across city departments and divisions. But the MAC is more than an app, it's a destination. Whether you interact with the map via the city's website, email, phone, in person, or through the app itself, it is an opportunity to connect with city administration and its many important divisions and departments. The ease of this connection not only provides us with an opportunity to resolve requests, but also allows us to educate residents on how the city operates and provides residents with an opportunity to share their suggestions and experiences. The city, through the MAC, relies heavily on resident requests. In the first quarter of 2025, there were 461 pothole requests reported in the MAC. That number increased to 550 in the first quarter of this year. Those requests came from residents, city staff, the police department, business owners, and visitors. These reports were descriptive, enabling our street department division to prioritize the daily list of planned repairs. Requests for pothole repairs that needed to be managed and repaired by the sewer department were easily reassigned to that division and its supervisor. During the busiest weeks this spring, Mayor Petras, Public Works Director Clinkscale, and team met regularly to troubleshoot and create a plan using information provided by the MAC, including a map generated by the app showing the location of every reported pothole. I communicated regularly with the street department supervisor, who updated me regularly on his team's progress and provided me information I could share with residents, or he shared the information with residents himself. The MAC has become an important part of contact for residents. With the new administration, the MAC was moved from the mayor's office to the communications department. This small change enabled the MAC to share shifts in resident reports immediately with the communications director and assistant directors. The communications office is tasked with communicating a great deal of information to both residents and city staff through a number of channels. Being only a few steps from the communications director and assistant directors enables me to efficiently share resident questions and concerns as soon as I receive them. Instead of getting lost in a flurry of email chains, I am able to initiate a brainstorming session and discuss the best way to respond to changes in resident concerns. This spring, for example, after our first of many powerful storms, I began fielding questions and concerns about a variety of weather-related matters. These concerns range from street flooding caused by obstructions on how to report a down power line. Before the next storm, the MAC worked with communications to craft a Be Prepared guide that was shared with city news, social media, and the MAC notification function. This was all based on the suggestion of a Cleveland Heights resident. In the span of an hour or two, a fact sheet was created using a variety of sources to create a guide that residents could print and hang on their refrigerators instead of searching for answers on the internet, if the internet was even an option. I have said many times that one of my most important goals is to answer people's questions before they have a chance to ask them, to anticipate what is coming next and be proactive in providing solutions. The relationships I have with the entirety of city staff, directors, chiefs, supervisors, and the administration are crucial to providing efficient and accurate response. Each department and division operates in a unique way that reflects their unique operational models. This high-tech, high-touch relationship is essential to our success. Every month, I provide a series of reports to the mayor, city administrator, chief, directors, and communications department. These reports include numbers of requests opened and closed in each category, the number of requests resolved within the projected target for that request, the source that each resident used to interact with the MAC, and the number of total requests reported each day. If a director is researching information that will assist them with the budget planning, the MAC can work with them to create a new report that gives them the crucial information they need to make informed decisions. We still have a long way to go, and we can't forget that the MAC is just one tool of many, a tool that is highly adaptable to changes in process and resident needs. As the city transitions some parks and properties duties to the Public Works Department this spring, we have been able to make the needed changes in how the platform functions, from reassigning tasks to recreating reports. The MAC app can be updated in just a few minutes to reflect big changes in process. In addition, our IT department continues to explore opportunities for integrating new and existing web platforms within the city. While still at the very early stages of this process, the integration will enable departments to work more efficiently and provide more seamless interface for reporting residents. Finally, I want you all to know that the city wants to hear from you. There are residents who send me apologetic emails because they feel that they are bothering me or that their request is not important enough. There are residents who are living in buildings with code violations who are afraid to report it because they're fearful of retribution. These are not easy conversations to have, but every conversation from potholes to parks is a step toward strengthening the core ideals of Cleveland Heights. I try to respond directly to each request. In the middle of receiving 550 pothole requests in the spring, I may not have been able to keep up with that goal, but I can assure you it was reported to the skilled city crews who worked very hard this spring to patch things up as they continue to do. You have a mayor and city administrator who are invested in continuing the efforts and evolution of the MAC. Thank you all from residents to city council and the administration for partnering with the MAC. I'm happy to play my small part.
Thank you. I'm gonna thank you. Really appreciate you. I do want to take a few questions. I want to say, I know, Todd, that you left the city early in September. I want everybody to know I called him up. I want to say it was October 1st, and I begged him to come back, and I'm so glad you did. What's the preferred way you like people to communicate with you? Is it calling on the phone or is it emailing?
Any way. We have 5 ways to contact me: phone, email. You can come into to City Hall. You can put it on the app. You can put it on the web portal. Any of those is fine. Whatever is comfortable for people, I just allow them to do it.
All right. Questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Just a statement. When Mayor's Action Center first opened up, I would suggest to people that they could use that, and they'd say, I don't know how to use it, and I would do it for them. I don't do many of those anymore, and I want to give you the credit for that because your responsiveness is multiplying out as ripples. Once somebody learns how to use it and they get a response and they see something change. Thank you so much, Mr. Wilburn. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I wonder if we could get some of the statistics you mentioned about the transition of complaint to resolution. I think for council, for us to know where the pain points and hotspots are in your life, will help us in our legislative life as well. So
that's absolutely possible. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sure.
Comment and a question. One, I just want to thank publicly for all the work. You are always responding right away. I hear back from residents when I send them your way that you've responded and things were taken care of. So the administration, we are all very lucky to have you. We've discussed among council the fact that we might be hearing from residents who email all of us at the same time, and then all 7 of us are forwarding them to you. And I just wanted to raise that here to ask you if there's a particular way you'd like us to handle that. I think our council clerk suggested perhaps to add you to the council member email distribution email, since a lot of those are resident, but that's not always the case, so I'm not sure if that's the answer. But how can we make this more efficient for you?
I think, and it happened a lot kind of this spring, but I think however we want to work through it is fine. If I'm getting emails from each one of you about the same thing, it's just that many emails. I'm probably going to communicate with the resident directly after that. So once you guys report it to me like you do, I don't always write back and say I'm taking care of this because I think you trust that I am. So yeah, whatever is easiest for the resident, I can take a bunch of emails.
Let me ask the law director, if we do reply all and just say it's a pothole and we reply all, we say, could you please take care of this? Is that a violation of the Ohio Meetings Act if we're letting other people know by just including them in the email that we sent an email to Coordinator Walburn?
I'm not sure if I followed the introductory part of the premise, but if you're talking about an email that comes to all of council,
right,
and then somebody forwards that to
Todd? Yeah, not just forwards it, but copies. Well, either if we forward it and copy council, or we just reply all and send it to and copy Todd Walburn on it. Is that a violation?
Well, I think that an individual communication between a council member and a staff member is a little bit cleaner to follow, and a CC is also easier to follow, because what you don't want to do, of course, is to have a majority of council on a single email and have people start weighing in like, oh, geez, I just sent this to him also after I hit this pothole, and somebody may say something else, and suddenly you're deliberating about public business in a prearranged forum with the majority of council present, and that's a violation of the OMA. So that I can say. What the most practical method for addressing the concern that the councilwoman expressed, I'm not sure. But again, I think a forward and a CC might work better, or there might be a different way to do it utilizing the clerk to facilitate some communication.
Yeah, it's very complicated, and I appreciate Todd being so understanding that he's getting so many emails from us on the same issue. I mean, I think we'll continue to mull over it and see if there's a better, and if there's something that comes to mind, let us know. And same with our council clerk.
And I just want to add that, there's sometimes confusion by residents of our role and the administration's role. So I want to make this as clear as I can. If you call your council person and you say, I need this pothole filled, you're really calling the wrong person. We obviously we could forward your complaint, but what we cannot do is direct staff. That is in the charter. We don't direct staff to do things. So really, you're kind of wasting your time when you could go directly to the Mayor's Action Center. That is an administrative task. I'd say 98% of the time we get emails, they're administrative tasks, so it's good to just know the difference. Any other comments for Mr. Walburn? Okay, thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Can I say one quick thing
to
end? I just wanted to make clear that when you asked me to come back, I came back because the staff at Cleveland Heights City Hall is amazing, and I was very excited about the direction things were going. So I want to make sure that credit goes where it's due. I only look good because the staff is amazing. So I appreciate the opportunity to say that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, Director of Planning and Development, Eric Zandt, is going to talk about, give a progress report on 3 economic development projects: Nobility Court, the Marquee project at Cedar Lee Meadowbrook, and Taylor Tudor project. Director Zandt.
Good evening, everyone. And yes, as the Council President mentioned, I'm just here to talk about 3 projects. There's a lot going on in planning, and if we want to have a longer presentation at a future meeting, I'd be happy to give that. The first project I wanted to talk about, actually in a different order than the council president just mentioned, is the Marquee, which is the Cedar Lee project. That is scheduled to be completed in November, December. It's about 70% completed. And we actually have an owner's rep on that project who has confirmed that schedule. And actually, they feel like the project may be a bit ahead of schedule. So that's always good news to hear. Nobility Court, which is the project on Noble Road, TWG, that's scheduled for a time in the fall. I would assume that that's November, December as well. That's about 65% done. And then the Taylor Tudor project, which is on Taylor Road near Kane Park, is about 50% done. We'll have some more details at the end of June. There's a significant utility component to the back of the buildings that's being resolved, and that's part of what's taking a little bit longer. And so I wanted to mention with all of these projects and any project in the city, now that we have a in-house building staff, it makes a tremendous difference because they are going and driving through the city and basically inspecting visually these projects every week, in fact, probably even every day. And the way it works with building projects, again, now that we have in-house, is that a developer, a builder can call up the building department and schedule a formal inspection at any time. In the past, it had been much longer of a lead time, but again, having that in-house is really, really important. So that's the update on those three projects, and happy to answer any questions.
All right. Do we know all three of those projects have first floor business and then above residential? Do we know if there's any, on any of them, if there's any commercial interest in the first floor?
There absolutely is interest. Whether there are signed leases or intentions to sign leases is a different story, but in each of those projects, there certainly is interest in filling those bottom floors.
That's good to hear. Questions? All right. Well, yep.
Sorry, actually, just to follow up on that, you mentioned the Marquee, the Meadowbrook building that has the first floor retail. Are those being leased imminently, or do you have an update on?
I don't have an update on that, but it's something actually we were talking about globally for the Top of the Hill and Cedar Lee Meadowbrook projects, about getting an update from the development team on both of those commercial spaces.
Well, on the Marquee, do we know what the occupancy rate is on the building that is open?
It's basically 100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good to know. All right. Well, thank you, Director. Appreciate it. Next, the Director of Parks and Rec this is Director Gonzalez. Is going to talk to us about the Kane Park Stramp and the progress report there.
Thank you, City Council, for having me tonight. I'm going to give an update on the Stramp and then also a couple other things, if that's okay with you guys as well, too. So I want to talk first about the ADA switchback ramp at Kane Park and also the in-hill seating. That project is just about complete. We have a couple more weeks left, and all that's left is they're going to be using some contingency dollars that are left over to build up the sledding hill on the side where the in-hill seating is, in order, so when kids or adults come down the hill and they head straight towards the seats, they're going to be redirected down towards the bottom of the hill instead towards the seats and getting injured. So we're going to use some contingency dollars to take care of that, and that'll wrap up that project. Unfortunately, we did have a water line break inside of Kane Park, which is 100% independent of their project. So we are replacing that or fixing that water main replacement as early as the middle of this week. Want to move on real quick to the Kane Park Evans and Alma seating replacement. If you guys remember, that got replaced last year, well, towards the end of last year, and it is 100% complete. All the seats are in at Kane Park, and we're ready for a great season. It's shaping up to be a really fun season. As it sits right now, we have close to 20 on the dot, shows, touring shows booked for Kane Park this year. We only had 8 last year, so that tells you how much how much we've been working down there, and they're doing a great job of selling tickets, and the ticket sales are really shaping up. Dennison Park, just move on to Dennison Park. There's going to be in the next month or so, there's going to be a lot of action happening down there with the splash pad. Obviously, the splash pad itself is in, but we still have to tidy up some underground utilities. Once we tidy up those underground utilities, you're going to start to see the actual spray features go up. You're going to see the bathrooms going in, and then you're going to see some landscaping, some hydro seeding, and all that good stuff happening over there as well too. In addition, we will install the top playground. I just do not have a timeline yet on that because it's a real popular time right now for playgrounds to get installed. So once I get a timeline on the top playground, I will let you guys know. But there is a lot of action going to be going on in the next month or two over at Dennison Park. I want to move over to the community center. Just want to give a quick update that the main gym in the community center is going to be closed starting today all the way through June 8th. We have a complete redo of that gym pretty much going on. We have the sanding of the floors and repainting and coating. The walls are being painted, new bleachers installed, and new scoreboards. So come June 8th, it's going to be basically a brand new gym that hasn't been touched since the opening, I believe, which was in 2002, 2003.
Can I just interject? I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. You're not talking about the track and the weight equipment.
No, the track is part of the fitness center upstairs.
Got it. Okay.
It is only the gym itself.
Okay.
Now, I do have to warn people is that there is a little bit of smell or an odor coming through, but there's not much that we can do about that. If we want nice things, we have to suffer through those things for a little while, right? So, and then some upcoming projects. The Kane Park Tennis Court, those are getting resurfaced, hopefully sometime in June. And then the Kane Park Skate Park replacement, we're hoping either by the end of this week or early next week to see some designs. We're going to be passing those on to the mayor's office for some meetings and talking about those and seeing what needs to be adjusted. And then hopefully that project will begin. They are still anticipating a breaking ground soon and a November-ish completion date of the skate park. And then last but not least, pool season is almost here. We are still on pace to open the pool on June 1st, and we are currently selling pool passes as we speak at the community center. And that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. We have a couple questions.
Absolutely.
I really want to thank you and your staff for trying to get Dennison, or not trying, but getting Dennison Field open to the public. That's such a win for the community. Also hopeful when you guys start getting Cumberland and getting that together, that the baby pool will be operational this year.
Yeah, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that happens. Right.
Adam Veep.
I want to know if you're happy with the, I guess we call them prefab bathrooms that we ordered for Dennison Park. Because you told us, and I believe you believed it, that was a quality product. So did you get what you were expecting?
Well, they haven't been delivered yet, so the beginning of May. But I will tell you this much is that I recently installed one of these in my previous job when I was the Parks and Rec director in the city of Brook Park. And also being a councilman over there, I attend concerts and different things like that frequently. And they still look the same way that they did the day that we bought them. So we've been happy in Brook Park with them. So I'm hoping to bring the same happiness here in Cleveland Heights about those.
All right. I do have a question/comment from John Barber, who was unable to attend today. He said, please make sure to ask Director Gonzalez about tree plantings on the east end of Kane Park where the stramp and ramp things went in. Sorry, I'm just reading. Do we have a plan for reforesting?
So with the help of the planning department, specifically Karen Knittel, and she's going to be missed more than anybody knows. She has been working with a landscape architect devising a new plan for some landscaping in that area. I do have to say that nothing has been funded for this year, but she is working on a plan to hopefully put that in action for here in the future.
Probably for next year.
Yeah, yes.
Any other questions from council? Thank you. Oh, yes, please.
Do you have the dates of when the North Rink will be down for scheduled maintenance?
We're still working to finalize those dates, and then we'll release those to the public as soon as we finalize those dates.
And that would be for annual routine maintenance?
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
Thanks.
All right. Again, thank you, Director.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. We're going to move on to report of the council clerk.
Thank you. Just real briefly, I want to take this opportunity because it is Municipal Clerks Week this week to recognize and thank my fellow municipal clerks in our region, state, and across the country. To my fellow clerks, we are the keepers of the record, the stewards of transparency, and the coordinators, and often the steady point of continuity in local government. The work we do requires accuracy, discretion, patience, and a deep respect for public service, and it's work that doesn't stop when the agenda ends. I want to acknowledge the long hours, attention to detail, and the professionalism and dedication that often goes unnoticed but never goes unfelt. Our work matters. It's an honor to serve alongside you. Thank you.
Well, I want you to know that we noticed. All right, thank you, Eddie. So do we have any public comment on, not on legislative items? Okay, so then in that case, so we will have public comment after we read legislation. So why don't we start with first readings, consideration for adoption.
I have resolution number 094-2026 on first reading, a resolution appointing Lauren Smith and Nikki Newman as members of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board of the City of Cleveland Heights, Ohio, to fill the remainder of unexpired terms and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Councilmember Cobb, Council President Kuda, and Council Vice President Larson.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Next, I have ordinance number 097-2026 on first reading, an ordinance to make appropriation for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Cleveland Heights, Ohio during the year ending December 31st, 2026, and declaring the necessity of this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I think we have a tie for second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Next, I have resolution number 098-2026 on first reading, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Waste Management of Ohio through contracts entered into by individual members of the Recycling Processing Services Consortium, which includes the communities of Beechwood, Highland Hills, Independence, Lyndhurst, Moreland Hills, Pepper Pike, Solon, University Heights, and Woodmere, and which was organized by the Cuyahoga County Solid Waste District for recycling processing services, and declaring the necessity this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. We're on to first readings now. First reading only.
I have resolution number 095-2026 on first reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Northeast Ohio Area Coordinating Agency for the design and installation of 8 DC fast charger electric vehicle charging points at City Hall and the Cleveland Heights Community Center, introduced by Mayor Petrus. I also have resolution number 096-2026 on first reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the continuation and expansion of the citywide food scrap composting program through Rust Belt Riders Composting LLC, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
All right, on to second readings.
I have resolution number 081-2026 on second reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with American Builders and Applicators, a certified lead abatement contractor, for the use of home investment partnership funds, community development block grant funds, and American Rescue Plan Act funds in connection with a housing rehabilitation deferred loan program at permanent parcel number 682-34-010, providing compensation therefore, and declaring the necessity this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Next, I have ordinance number 082-2026 on second reading. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a lease agreement with Max Backs Bookstore, Inc. for the lease of 1807 Coventry Road and declaring the necessity this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Oh, come on, let's have some discussion.
I'm glad that Max Backs Books is staying in Coventry, just moving across the street. Very happy.
Okay.
How's that?
That's good.
Yeah, I'll second that.
And I see Suzanne is here. Do you want to come up and say anything? Great.
Hi, thanks to council, thanks to the mayor. I want to acknowledge our store manager, Rosa Ransom is here. She's an integral part of our store and will be going forward. You know, when my business partner, Jim McSherry, and I opened the store on Coventry, I was 25, and this year I'll be 70. So it's been a long and wonderful journey in Cleveland Heights. We love the district, and we're going to be very happy to be part of its future. Thank you, everyone.
And you know, when a lot of so-called mom and pop bookstores are going out of business, thank God you guys are doing well. And we really, I mean, you are an institution on Coventry and we really appreciate you. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Congratulations.
Next, I have resolution number 083 on -2026 on second reading. A resolution determining that support of the 2026 Heights Music Hop is in furtherance of a proper public purpose, authorizing a contribution of $7,500 to Future Heights, Inc. in support of the 2026 Heights Music Hop, and declaring the necessity this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Council President Kuda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? The Music Hop is August 28th through August 30th, and it's going to start on a Friday at Cedar Fairmount, and then Saturday is Lee Road, and Sunday is Coventry, and we always look forward to that. It's a great event. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Finally, I have resolution number 084-2026 on second reading. A resolution determining that support of the 2026 Heights Tiger 5K and Fun Run is in furtherance of a proper public purpose, authorizing a contribution of $2,500 to the CHUH School District PTA in support of the 2026 Heights Tiger 5K and Fun Run, introduced by Councilmember DeWitt Foy.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. That concludes our legislative agenda. Committee reports. Who would like to go first? Nobody. Okay, we'll move on now.
No. I have to put.
I was having fun. Okay, go ahead.
Do you really want me to go first?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. First, I want to express my gratitude to the mayor, city administrator Reese, public works director Clinkscale, and Brian Arroyo and planning development staff for doing the work necessary to finally demolish the Hillside Dairy. This project is the beginning of a long-anticipated plan to develop the Noble Triangle, so I look forward to the future. The Municipal Services and Environmental Sustainability Committee will be meeting on May 11th. Committee will be discussing the bulk refuse program, sidewalk repair, and the committee's priorities for 2026. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other committee reports? Please, Councilwoman Cohen.
Thank you. On the April 28th, we had a meeting of the Planning and Development Committee. There we discussed a possible revision to the Landmark Commission's governing ordinance. We had a great discussion with the chair and member of the Landmark Commission, as well as Wendy Naylor of Naylor Wellman, the outside counsel that helped put this Landmark Commission legislation together 2 years ago. It's been sitting for 2 years, and so we're bringing it back. This will be on the agenda for our May 11th Committee of the Whole meeting to dig further into some of the policy questions that were raised during the committee meeting. And we are hoping to schedule also a public hearing / additional committee meeting to allow for public comment and another public presentation on the ordinance revisions that council is looking at. That's a landmark commission. We also at the committee meeting had a presentation by the Taylor Road Merchants Association, and there was consensus among council to move forward to effectuate a contract with the Taylor Road Merchants Association along with associated funding. That would be the same amount that was received by the NABA Merchants Association last year. We had a brief update on the Community Improvement Corporation. We discussed that in Committee of the Whole, so I'll refer folks back to that or the Planning and Development Committee meeting. But the too long don't read is that we're sunsetting that entity for now. It will remain dormant, and infill lot management will be done by the administration at this point. We also had a zoning code review update, which was very, very brief, but we'll have a council workshop in June to get a report from our consultant on the zoning code review, and then look to have a public hearing after our summer recess. And just lastly, we're going to try this one more time for those who are interested in ADUs, accessory dwelling units. If you hate it, or if your mother and mother-in-law want you to build one in your backyard, we have finally scheduled the public meeting for that. It will be June 2nd. Starting at 5:30, we'll have 30 minutes where the community can join us in the atrium to see the results of the ADU design competition from, I believe, almost 2 years ago at this point. And then at 6 o'clock, we'll convene technically a meeting of the Planning and Development Committee in this room, where we'll have a presentation from staff on the ADU legislation, and an opportunity after that for public comment, and then an opportunity after that for planning staff to answer questions that came up during the public comment period. So June 2nd, 5:30 to 7:30. We're looking forward to seeing many of you there. Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilman DeWitt Foy.
Thank you. We'll be meeting 1 week from today, May 11th, as Committee of the Whole to discuss topics related to community relations and recreation. Director Gonzalez will join us, as will members of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. And we're going to be working through a conversation of how these two committees can work most closely together in order to push priorities of Parks and Rec forward.
Very good. Councilwoman Stone.
The Housing and Building Committee will also meet on May 11th as part of the Committee of the Whole. We have two subjects that we're focusing on right now: a housing and building code study that will align also with the zoning study. The first time the code has been reviewed in some time. We'll be reviewing the RFP that will be issued to help us engage the consultant to take that project forward. We are continuing work on the draft legislation to regulate short-term rentals. This is in a conversation stage. We'll be having some discussions in both the May 11th and the May 26th meeting before the draft ordinance comes before council for its initial hearing.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. We're going to move on to public comment. This is general public comment on any issue. As you know, you have 3 minutes. You can see that right up there above the mayor's head. When you get to the microphone, make sure you say your name, the city you live in, and the street you live on. I just do want to say that the last time we had a meeting, well, maybe it wasn't the last time, maybe it was the time before, it was really good, the public comment part, until the end. And then some people got rude. I was very disappointed. I'm asking you please to remain civil. If somebody gets up and says an opposing opinion, I'm sorry. That's the way it goes. You know, you don't get to just run the table. I mean, that's one of the reasons we're here. So that is what we expect, and hopefully that's what'll happen tonight. Eddie, go ahead and call the first person.
James O'Hare.
Thank you. Name's James O'Hare. Live on Kingston Road in Cleveland Heights. First off, last time I spoke, I did not thank appropriately the mayor and the council president for their sincere engagement on the Shaker Parklands issue. I know this is not an easy issue, as with most matters like this. If it were easy, it would already be done. So you guys get the difficult ones. So one thing that my wife and I did, we've followed up from last meeting. on the old manufacturing executive maxim, management by walking around. Get out on the floor, see what's going on. Don't just rely on charts and graphs and the reports of consultants and so forth. So what we did is we took a ride around the city. First, we headed to Garfield Heights, Garfield Park, because we wanted to see how other parks, what's being done with water features there. I don't know if members of council or members of the room have seen there. Yeah. It's pretty remarkable what they've done in a short period of time. Again,
I just want to say that was 8 years in the making. It was not short.
And the Horseshoe Dam's been drained since 2019. So yes, it's been a while. From there, we headed west to Bradley Park. It's small, it's almost straddles over to Lorraine. Again, a central feature there is a lake that's man-made. Lastly, we went to Hinckley, and in my generation, you think of Hinckley and you think of buzzards and you think of March 15th. So it was April, there were no buzzards, but I'm a lifelong Clevelander. I'm amazed at what is at Hinckley Lake. And 2 water features, a lake that's bigger than Horseshoe Lake, 2 swimming areas, a swimming pool. It's just remarkable. There's a beach there. The common thread between all those is the Metro Parks, the Cleveland Metro Parks. This is an organization that knows how to do this and takes the lead. Certainly the Northeast Ohio Sewer District was involved in Garfield Park. They were not the lead. Lastly and finally, I said before, it's all about maintenance. Metro Parks knows how to maintain, administer, and I don't know that they're the best choice. We just have to examine, I believe, or we're missing an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jacqueline Thornton.
Good evening, President, Vice President. My name is Jacqueline Thornton. I live on Revere Road in Cleveland Heights. My main concern is animal pickup.
I didn't hear you.
Animal pickup.
Oh, pickup.
My home is, I have a ravine right behind me. And I have all type of animals running through my yard, myself and my neighbor. And they're dying. And I have no one to pick them up. So therefore, I have to call outside companies and pay to have them to come pick up. Now, I have tried to look up Cleveland Heights, but they don't have that anymore. I know years ago, when I moved in Cleveland Heights, I've been in this home for 20 years, but I have lived in Cleveland Heights for over 40 years. And I know that they did used to have those pickups. So therefore, I just had a skunk die. Well, it wasn't dead, but I thought it was. Up under my deck, under my steps on my deck. And it ran me inside because I'm terrified of animals. And I would not go back outside until I got someone to come get it. So today I had someone to come get it, and I had to pay a heavy cost for it. So I feel, I think that Cleveland Heights should kind of bend a little bit and have us to have, this service done with the animals. If we call, just come get them. I know you have the service that if animals die on the streets, and you give a call, they come pick them up off the streets. But in our homes, and that animal gave the smell that got into my house was terrible. Even though when the people came, I thought it was dead. The people said that it wasn't dead, but it was a terrible smell that was coming into my home. And it was ridiculous, so I had to pay to get it taken out.
Thank you for,
Thank you for listening.
so I usually don't say too much, but I'm going to say something. We've had talk about animal control. Last year, I brought this up that and met with the chief of police from South Euclid because they have animal control in South Euclid. They have a person. We have somebody that'll pick up dogs and dead animals, and then. But cats, no. And raccoons, no, and all that. So that's something that council's been discussing about putting in the budget for next year. So thank you for putting that on our radar. Appreciate it.
Thank you all for listening.
Sure.
Carolyn Penn.
Hello, Mayor, Council, Law Director, and residents of Cleveland Heights. I'm piggybacking off of my neighbor, Ms. Thornton. And thank you, answer my question. I thank you, President of Council, because it is an enormous problem we're having in the city. And it costs a lot of money and movement to deal with these animals. These are not our pets. These, as a matter of fact, you have to worry about your pet, especially a smaller animal like a dog that, you love. And, I've been in this house for like 36 years. That's this house that I own now. And I've owned for many years. But the point I'm trying to make is this. I've been in Cleveland Heights prior to that, many, many years too, maybe 50 or more. But nonetheless, I just think that we're being overrun with these animals and they're destroying our properties. We get to the point where we have to worry about things like, wood, like underneath your siding and stuff like that. They try to, bite into the wood. They tear up things, and you can't even be comfortable because that ravine is a problem. And nobody seems to know, they say it's private property in the back of us, and that's, they don't know who it belongs to, but of course they know who it belongs to. But nonetheless, the point is, it's a problem. And had I known that it was going to be this much of a problem, I wouldn't have moved there, to be honest with you. Right. But nonetheless, I'm so glad that you're going to put that in the budget next year. You answered my question, so I won't prolong it. But this is a very important thing to us. We spend a lot of money on our property, and especially nowadays, with, people, bricklayers, electricians, you name it. You can't do inside and out at the same time. And our economy. You know what inflation is like with the gas and everything now. We don't have money for that. The thing that I like is that you can go to that resource center and you can get help from them, by not just, talking about it. They give you a list of things that, people that you can consult with regarding what your problems are, and they work with you. But the thing is, you still have to buy the resource, that you're looking for. And they will put it in like, you'll come out for an inspection. That's a cost. Then secondly, they'll say, maybe I'll bring you some cameras. We'll look to see what's going on with that. That's another cost. Then thirdly, charge you $400 for some cages. Come on, this is ridiculous. We can't do this. We can't do it and eat and try to make it and pay bills, and so we can't do it. So I really appreciate it. So having said that, my time is up too. I'm good, huh?
Thank you. Thank you, Carolyn. Yeah, sure.
Ann Caruso.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Vice President and President, council members. I came tonight to remind everybody that June 4th is Democracy Day in Cleveland Heights, and we have our legally mandated hearing for Democracy Day, and I just wanted everyone to know that the hearing is open to anybody who wants to speak. You don't have to sign up to speak, although if you know that you have a topic that you want to talk about that has to do with democracy in general or has to do with how money in politics is prohibiting our government from responding to the public good, you could let Greg Coleridge or I know so that, we'll have an idea of what the topics are going to be covered. And for those who maybe are new, we have an annual Democracy Day because in 2013, Cleveland Heights voters voted with 77% of the vote to approve or pass Issue 32, which called for supporting an amendment to the U.S. Constitution that would declare corporations are not people and money is not speech. And Issue 32 also called for a yearly Democracy Day where citizens, or it doesn't even have to be citizens of Cleveland Heights, because anybody can come to our Democracy Day and talk about an issue that they're concerned about, where the public good is being ignored in favor of corporate interests because of the money that is spent by corporations. This also covers union and political PAC money. So hopefully we'll see some people come and testify. The testimony that we have every year is always very informative. People are amazing in the issues that they follow and the information that they have. So I want to make sure that everybody knows June 4th is this year's Democracy Day, and looking forward to it and seeing who is going to come and enlighten us about this important issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Yeah, it's always a moving and uplifting experience. Thank you.
Edgar Mitchell.
There we go. Wouldn't be Monday without Edgar.
Good evening, Law Director, Mayor, Council, all council members. It's always good to see you guys. And tonight, I am kind of very happy because the project that I had came up and asked for help on from Cleveland Heights, they started working on that a week or two ago, and they're really making a lot of progress. I'm very happy for that to happen. You can find me a lot of times at 2025 Goodnoy Road. Also, you might find me at 1062 Needleview. And you might find me walking around in Cleveland Heights anywhere. But there's a lot of people, including council, the mayor, a lot of people in Cleveland Heights had a lot of input to make this happen. So I want to, give a shout out to the people that actually helped me get this started. I know it all boiled down to the council and everybody else, but I'd like to mention one young lady who's like a goddaughter to me, Bobby Brown, that works here. She had a lot of input. And I'd like to go to the Home Repair Center and Mr. Wesley Walker, Ms. Carol Ostrom. They were very instrumental in helping me. Lori Sanford here was a big help. Alan Butler. And also, I'd like to mention a young lady that used to sit on council here, Zenobia. She was very instrumental in helping me get this kicked off and started. Also, the young men that's doing the work, I would like to send a great shout out to them. If I can get my phone to work, I'm not as adept as you guys are probably with this. But the men that's doing the actual work, and it takes time, and this is not a joke, the work they're doing, because they had to tear down first. The city tore the tree down. They had to come and tear out the whole front yard and dig down to take the pipes out and replace all the pipes. They had to come inside and break the floor out to take the pipes from that and put all this back. and they are making great progress. Most of it is done. Probably in a week or two, it'll be all done. So the gentleman in charge of all this is Albert Ladoni. His son, Joe Ladoni, who works the backhoe and all the digging and this and that. And also Rick Turkevic, who's great with doing all the stuff that takes to make this stuff happen. And I'd like to start a big shout out to a man here in Cleveland Heights, Bill Smith, who came out and did a lot of measurements and helped get all this started. And also I met a young man today that came out and took a look at everything. His name was Zach Ravanelli. And he, was very nice meeting that. So thank you guys for all the stuff we've done. And I'd just like to say to all the residents in Cleveland Heights, I know my time is up, but keep your mind together and let's all work together. We're gonna solve all of this sooner or later. It might not be today, but we will get there. Good night.
Christopher Wood.
Christopher Wood, Edge Hill Road. The facts that I'm going to mention here are all from the website of the County Auditor's Office. There are many questions surrounding the Blanche Avenue Extension project. Should it proceed at all? Many of the neighborhood residents appear to oppose it for a variety of reasons. Then there is the question of whether public tax money should be used to help further it. Whoever owns those lots stands to make a lot of money through the sales of the new houses. On a $500,000 sale, the price mentioned by the prospective developer, that should be about $200,000 per house, because builders usually get about 60% of the sale price. That would come to about $4 million to the Hebrew Academy, which owns 21 of the lots. Those lots, as well as the golf course land, were owned by the Oakwood Club in 1994, which is the earliest date listed on the county website. And those lots were valued between $15,000 and $20,000 apiece, similar to the other lot values in the neighborhood. In 2000, the club requested a revision, and though the Cleveland Heights School Board contested it, it was granted by the county. The new value of the Blanche Avenue lots was $1,000, ostensibly because the lack of a street and other infrastructure discouraged development. Then in 2011, Fees LLC purchased 34 lots from the Oakwood Club, much of it parts of the old golf course, but including 21 lots on Blanche Avenue for more than $2 million. Ordinarily, such a purchase should trigger a revaluation of the parcels, but for some reason, those on Blanche remained at $1,000. Then in 2015, Hebrew Academy spent $4 million for 33 of those Fees parcels, a huge profit for Fees, including the 21 on Blanche. It is not really possible to assign a separate value for the Blanche parcels. The deed lumps them all together, but it stretches credulity to believe that they are worth only $1,000 apiece. There is such a thing as speculation on future events, and formerly worthless land becomes very valuable. But not only did the county not reassess the parcels in 2015, it changed the land category from residential to tax-exempt private education. Section 5709.07 of the Ohio Revised Code makes clear that property owned by a private school cannot be tax-exempt unless it is actually used for educational purposes. Ownership alone is not sufficient. Not only has Hebrew Academy not used those lots for educational purposes, but it was prevented from doing so by the inconvenient fact that they are zoned for single-family housing. Now Hebrew Academy stands to make millions selling houses that are tax abated for 12 years. Why shouldn't Hebrew Academy pay the lion's share for the upfront infrastructure costs? This project will benefit a few at the expense of the many. Thank you.
Amy Weinfertner.
Can we wait to start just while I thank you guys? I was reminded the last time I was here that I'm a guest in the house, And I just want to say that, that you guys have these meetings in person are great. Not every city does that. So it's really, it goes for democracy. So I just want to say that's great. First of all, I'm here for the Shaker Lake Parklands.
Do you live on?
I live in Shaker Heights. The process with the Shaker Lake Parklands started all wrong. And many of you guys weren't here in the beginning, but everyone's on the train now. And just want everyone to imagine what it's going to feel like when the bulldozers come and the trees start being removed in the upper parklands. And it is not too late to get off the train. I'm asking for a pause because what's being proposed is irreversible and the process is not complete. There was not minor changes from the original public relations information that was given. 1,000 trees removed, 26 acres of the parkland bulldozed. These are permanent alterations of an area that is our diamond. It's a rough diamond at this point, but it is historical. And yet the public has never been given a real choice. One plan is not a choice. There's been no full independent evaluation of alternatives that would preserve the lakes in the parklands. At the same time, the required processes have not been fully followed. The historic review has not been evaluated. These parklands as a single connected system, they cannot be segmented. That is how the 1974 National Registry of Historic Places is written and was fought by the people that fought the freeway. Decisions like this demand a full review. There's also concerns about regulatory shortcuts, as is going on with the application to the Ohio EPA, including efforts to proceed in ways that avoid broader public hearings. That only adds to the urgency of getting this right. This is about accountability. Residents, especially older neighborhoods like ours, everyone's here, are facing rising sewer and stormwater costs while public funds are being used for projects that fundamentally change a historic landscape without clear public consent. Our disproportionate dollars, we have 75% more impervious surface in these older neighborhoods than ones that are in the eastern suburbs. We pay a disproportionate amount in stormwater fees, and we're paying for our own destruction. Once this is done, it cannot be undone. Pause the process, require independent alternatives, and ensure that the full process is followed before these irreversible changes move forward. Thank you.
Tiffany Massing.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Tiffany Massing, Cleveland Heights, Delamere Drive. I'm also here to talk about Shaker Lakes Parklands. There are so many competing priorities in this situation about the Shaker Lakes Parklands, which is what makes it hard to come to a solution that solves all of them. We've gone round and around arguing in council, online, and in some cases legally, about what's better for the environment. Do we leave the existing tree canopy? Do we plant 2 to 4 inch caliber trees? Or as some other people have argued, are we better off planting acorns? There's experts on both sides of, like all these sides, people arguing. We're arguing about whether we could be better served with stormwater control by leaving, again, the existing tree canopy and the existing lakes versus buffering against floods with a better solution of remeandered streams and culverts. We're arguing about whether it's too late to put the genie back in the bottle as far as invasive species go. I could go on, but you get the drift, right? These are the things we've been going around and around about, arguing about. What I think keeps getting lost is that these Shaker Lakes Parklands are unique. Their history, having been built by the Shakers and then deeded to the public in perpetuity as a green and blue space to be enjoyed by all. They were saved from the freeways back in the 60s, and they are literally the reason that Cleveland Heights and Shaker Heights are built the way they are. They are literally the reason that these cities are here. They're special. There's nothing else like them. This history needs to be respected, and they should be cared for and kept in good condition. We don't mean to be backwards looking. There are people online who've accused us of being foes of progress. There are plenty of beautiful engineered parks in this country and all over the world. And in some cases, they are an improvement on what was there before. But in this case, we have a beautiful and beloved landscape, one that's used by multiple groups of community stakeholders. It's part of the identity of our communities, and it's very short-sighted to let it go. History's going to remember you if you do decide to let it go. So I'm with Amy. We would request a pause until all the alternatives can be evaluated. Thank you.
Patrick Kiltz.
Good evening, Mayor, President, City Council, Vice President, members of council, residents of Shaker Heights, appreciate your time. I too am talking here to speak.
Address or what
Pardon?
city do you live in?
Oh, I'm sorry, I live in Shaker Heights.
Okay.
I also own properties in Cleveland Heights. I actually went to high school with Jonathan Partington, who was honored earlier for bravery. His sister and I were in the same class together. Her husband is also a good friend of mine, and I've got very fond memories of going to Shaker Lakes with them as a kid, with my family. And what is being done is, it's unspeakable. I mean, like the speakers presented earlier, you're destroying a historic landmark that has been shared by generations. I've got memories, pictures of my kids. My grandkids will never have pictures at Horseshoe Lake that they can look back on and say, oh, Dad was there with Grandpa, who was there with great-grandpa and grandma. Generations of families have enjoyed this amenity. And if you look at Horseshoe Park now, it's an empty, bug-infested grassland. They're gonna cut down 1,000 trees. Like the first speaker who mentioned, walking the shop floor, not just looking at the data. I do the same thing. I was in manufacturing as well. I still am. I'm a CFO in manufacturing, so I know the money flows. I will say that the fact that the Shaker Nature Center got a $400,000 grant from the sewer district, and they're silent on this matter now, all of a sudden, and they sit right between Horseshoe Park and Lower Shaker Lakes. They are a major stakeholder in this project, and now they're suddenly silent. I know the relationships of these people who are involved in this, of Mayor Weiss, his relationship with Kyle Dreyfus Wells, the whole relationships in the real estate community. These are all well known, and it smells bad. And so with joining my friends here, I also ask for a pause. I think everything the Metro Parks touches turns to gold. I mean, they do a magnificent job of maintenance of everything. Let's bring them into the conversation. Has anybody tried that? I don't think so. We're just bulldozing ahead on this project. And this is not what this is not what the citizens of Cleveland Heights want or Shaker Heights. There are just a few interested parties. It's all about budget. Trust me, I know this. So do the right thing. Be brave like Jonathan Partington. Be honorable like Jonathan Partington, and listen to another alternative. And please pause this. Thank you.
If I could, there were really a lot of things in that particular comment that I'd like to respond to, but I'd just like to say, if it were all about the money, we would not be putting tens of millions of dollars into Horseshoe. Also, with regard to the Metro Parks, we have had many conversations with them and will continue to do that. So those are just two important things that I felt were worth noting.
And I did as well. I had to talk with the Metro Parks. Go ahead, Eddie.
Lawrence Bradley.
Good evening, Mayor, President, and City Council members. My name is Lawrence Bradley. I'm here about the Blanche Road extension. It's a project that I'm totally against, and it still doesn't make sense to me. So I guess the first thing is I don't see what the city of Cleveland Heights is getting from it. I don't see what the tax-paying citizens of Cleveland Heights are getting. The first reason that I heard that they were doing it is because this road was laid out in 1921 to go all the way through. But in 2000, your own people said that they found that there was the drainage had stopped right where it is right now. So it couldn't have been, why wouldn't they finish it? I guess that's what I was saying. So that kind of one reason why. And I don't see why I didn't see why so it doesn't seem like it was actually supposed to be a road. I mean, if they capped it where they capped it, why is it trying to finish the road off now? The other thing I say, why the money, it's said that there's going to be $2.5 million to do this project with $850,000 of federal funds. I've heard that was, I guess this is rumors, but I don't want my federal funds to go towards it because, once again, I don't see anything that's benefiting the tax-paying citizens of Cleveland Heights. And even from the information that was presented before, they said that even Cleveland Heights won't benefit for 30 years to get any monies out of this. So as I dodge all the potholes as I'm riding around, I think that would be a much better use for the money. And then, I have people coming asking me about my land. And so I've been even threatened about they're taking my land, using eminent domain. So once again, and once again, this is all rumors that are coming at me, and I don't understand. I haven't seen a status update on this. I guess I'll have to use the app and make sure put a notation in there for the Blanche Road extension, and so that's what I wanted to say. And unfortunately, Councilwoman Cohen, you had a very passionate speech at the end of the March 19th meeting, and you said that you said that the people that were here were anti-Semitic, and I took offense to that because I don't hate anyone. So that's my. So I just don't think that it still should happen. So.
Oh, yes, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mayor.
So after the public hearing, firstly, no decisions have been made regarding this project. After the public hearing that was held maybe about a month ago, the staff prepared an FAQ, which was posted online, and I made the decision that we should also mail that to all of the residents. My understanding is that staff have talked with Mr. Bradley multiple times. With regard to eminent domain, I have never once been a part of any conversation where I have heard that, and I would oppose that. So that is not going to happen. And with regard to the cost, yes, the cost was estimated to be $2.5 million, but it would be cost neutral to the city. So the city received a federal grant for $850,000, which would be our contribution to the project. And then there would be a special assessment so that the people who would purchase the homes that are built there would be responsible for paying the rest of it. And with regard to that $850,000, as we indicated in the FAQ, it cannot be used for anything else. That is the only purpose that that money could be used for. Again, no decisions have been made, but happy to answer questions that folks may have.
All right,
James Nemisto.
James.
Evening, Council, Mayor, Counselor. Some people think that water is over the dam. I want to make it perfectly clear that water is not over the dam in my book as it relates to Horseshoe Dam. Many of us here realize the egregious procedural failures that the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District has made. The most basic was the failure to perform an alternative analysis regarding Horseshoe Lake. So what exactly is an alternative analysis? It's basically a government procedure that dictates that government agencies, when doing a big project such as Horseshoe Lake, must present options before a project is begun. Federal and state law dictate that options must be offered when a significant project is undertaken. For instance, when you pull down a dam, you need to perform an alternative analysis. That's the crux of the matter with the Horseshoe Lake project. The cities were never informed of any optional plans besides one big, beautiful park. This is why we are in the debacle that we are in. But Jim, how could you say that? The beautiful plans, the swing sets, the teeter-totters, the benches. Well, it's certainly beautiful for the Boston landscape architect company that the district hired. Think of it like this. Every time you flush your toilets, part of that money goes to a high-end Boston architectural firm. I just don't get it. It's called a sewer district, not a park district. Their job is to deal with waste. And yes, they are wasting our money. So every time you look at your sewer bill, just think, there is an architect somewhere in Boston driving around in a Lexus or a Mercedes. So why am I here? I'm here to ask for an emergency resolution requesting an immediate suspension of our city participation in the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District immediate amenities agreement be passed and be promulgated. Until that time, the district performs an alternative analysis which is required by law. We can and we must. We have been bamboozled. It boils down to this, Counselor, a misrepresentation by omission and illegality. Simply, the district failed to disclose and failed to perform a legally required alternative analysis, which is a material regulatory requirement for a major water project. The memorandum of agreement was executed without the city being given legally required information, making this agreement voidable.
Jim, you didn't state your name or your.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Your
Doesn't
street.
Everybody know me? No.
Well, I do.
I know. Jim Nemastil, Edge Hill Road.
Thank you.
Mayor, thanks for the asphalt. And just I might add that if we do not spend $2.1 million for the benches and the teeter-totters, we could pave at least 8 more streets in our city.
All right.
Thank you.
That's all we've got.
Oh, well, as always, thank you all for participating in this public comment period. We're going to move on to old business, which I don't see any. New business, Vice President Larson.
Thank you, President Kuda. Since council has a recess that we'd like to take in 2026, I'd like to move that the council recess between July 14th, 2026 and August 14th, 2026, canceling the July 20th and the August 3rd regular council meetings.
All right, do I have a second on that?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Oh, yes, please.
Yes, I would just add that we have taken these recesses in the past, and when we've had occasion and need an emergency meeting to pass something that comes up at the last minute, we have always been able to get a quorum of city council members. So just want the public to know, even though we are going on a recess, if something comes up, there's always enough council members in town, and now we have the availability. Now we are able to do these virtual if need be.
Thank you. On the motion, well, let me just see, any other comments? All right. All in favor of this motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. On new business, any other new business? I have something. So in just kind of an effort, I really want to get this public engagement thing going. So I'm going to pass this out to you all. This is about council member public engagement. Take a look at it before our next committee of the whole meeting. So maybe we can have a quick discussion. We've kind of waited a long time. Sometimes we have to wait, but don't look at, I mean, you can look at it now, but I would like to discuss this at the next committee of the whole meeting. Any other new business? All right, council member comments. Council member comments. All right, then we move on to President's report. Look at it, everybody's can't wait to hear this, right? All right, so Suzanne, again, good luck. I know moving is, I mean, it's just, we hate moving like from one house to another. I can't even imagine moving that business or really any business, but I know you can handle it. It's just, I know it's going to have some stress involved, but all the best. So an incredible thing happened last Thursday night. There were 250 people there. I think you know what it is. It's the mayor's State of the City address. And I hope this did not escape anyone's notice. It was a totally inclusive event of all elected officials. And for all the challenges that Mayor Petras talked about, I was left feeling confident that we'd not only be facing them together, but solving them together. Thank you, Mayor, for your frank talk on Thursday and all you and the administration are doing to make improvements to the delivery of city services, including potholes, by the way, which I am hearing constantly from people about how they're noticing the potholes getting fixed and in not only in a quicker way, but also with more integrity. Now, I know people in public office always use that phrase, and together there is nothing we can't accomplish. Here's the difference between a slogan and what's going on now. Mayor Petras walks the walk. He meets every Tuesday with council leadership. Those meetings are relaxed, they're professional, and they're full of content. The mayor has already met with every council member and is in regular contact with us as needed. The administration has been open and responsive to our requests for information. In other words, we're off to a good start. I'm not saying that everything is going to happen perfectly and on time. What I am saying is the chances of getting things done is a lot more likely when the working conditions promote this kind of unity between the two branches of government and city staff. So I thank you all for that. And to that end, City Council has been working to improve our own operations. And I would just refer you to the 7.5 hours we met, and if you want to watch that, or the committee of the whole report that we had earlier today. So again, thank you all, one and all, and at 9:09, I'm adjourning this meeting.